Personal finance in Australia can be really tricky. And so you want to know what books can you actually read, either as actual books or audio books, so you get an idea of what you should be doing from a personal finance perspective. Well, today I'm here to help you. We have 3 different books, 1, 2, 3. These 3 different books will actually help to guide you through the principles that you need to be able to set up a pretty solid foundation for your financial journey in Australia. So let's have a look. We've got 3, some you may never have heard of before, 1 I'm pretty sure you have. The first one we've got here is from Noel Whittaker and his son. Now, some of the older viewers in the audience, you might have seen and you might know Noel Whittaker. He's been around for a really long time. He's probably best described as the grandfather of personal finance within the Australian market. He's been around, I think he's in his 70s now, but he used to have a radio show. He writes columns in newspapers, answering a lot of questions really around retirement these days. But this particular book was done with his son, James. And so it's written from the perspective of a younger, starting out perspective of how to set yourself up. This particular book, The Beginner's Guide to Wealth, really looks at a lot of the basic principles. I would say if you're younger, if you're just starting to get a job, if you're just starting to go to uni and you're starting to get a little bit of debt, you're starting to get, your mobile phone, perhaps, hopefully not, but maybe your first credit card, this is really the book for you, because this is going to be the book that actually lays down the foundations that you need to understand to be able to help you as you move through your career. It talks about superannuation. It talks about why most people fail. It talks about a lot of different financial concepts that are specific to Australia. So if you're a young person in Australia, this particular book is one that I would be recommending to you so that you can actually get a grasp on what you need to be doing to be able to set yourself up for financial freedom in the long run. You've probably heard many times over, the sooner that you start understanding financial principles, the better you're actually going to be in the long run. And that book, it's a great one. I'll put a link below. Now, this next one is probably a little bit more aimed at women. Well, it is aimed at women. Let's just be upfront about it. This one is called Unearth Your Finances. And it really is aimed at an older demographic. It's aimed at Gen X, Gen Y, it's aimed at women, and it is written in a way that is geared toward women. So if you're female, but also if you feel like your finances are a bit effed up, this is probably the book for you. This particular book is a little bit different in that it's really very blunt. Melissa Brown is the author of this particular book, and she has been within the finance world for a long time. Her writing really is more in the style of aiming towards women. Think explaining complex finances using shoes and handbags. This is the type of book this particular one is. She is very blunt though, if you are up a creek without a paddle, if you know what I mean. So this is a great book which actually goes through how to get from where you are now, put in place some strategies and some helpful hints to be able to get you to the next level and to ultimately get to financial freedom. This book is possibly what you're looking for if you are a Gen X, Gen Y female and you really want to get a handle on your finances. It is a smaller book, I will say, but it's pretty dense too. It's a good one. Next up, we have this classic. It is an Australian personal finance classic. You've seen it everywhere. I've seen it everywhere. It's as though every single person has a copy of it already. And if you don't, I would say get a copy of it. It is The Barefoot Investor. The Barefoot Investor has been around for a long time. Scott Pate breaks things down in a really easy to understand way. What's also a little bit unique about this particular book is he actually will speak to you if you are pretty average. I don't mean that in a harsh way, but if you're average or if you're a lower income person, then this still is the book for you. He talks about some great principles that will help you to get prepared for retirement. The other thing that he also does that the other books don't really touch on because they speak to a different demographic is he will actually talk about, and he does talk about, what to do if you are going to be retiring soon. Specifically, if you only have about $250,000 saved for retirement. He's going to help you put a plan in place so that you can retire and retire comfortably enough. So if you're looking to get into personal finance, you're trying to understand what you're going to do here in Australia, specifically with Australian information, then I would say these are 3 books that are standout books to actually read and consume, absorb, understand what they're saying. They will be a foundational basis. They'll give you the principles that you need to actually be able to get ahead. So let's quickly just jump over them again. We have Finances, again, really aimed more at women. So if this is you, hey, there's a link below. The Beginner's Guide to Wealth. If you have kids that are just starting out on their journey, this is a great book for them. Really basic stuff, but it really will bring it into perspective so that they understand the impacts of the choices that they're making now when they're getting that first phone, when they're getting that first paycheck, and they're understanding superannuation, when they're looking at getting a credit card, how they're actually going to save, how they're going to prepare for the future, how they're going to spend all their money. This is the book for them. And then the classic for every Australian family, to be able to understand where you are, but also to be able to prepare for retirement and put an investment plan in place, we have The Barefoot Investor. Thanks very much again for watching the channel. I really hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe, all of those things. But this is what I'd love to know. If your favorite personal finance book is not one of these 3, tell me what it is. I'd love to know what's your personal finance book favorite for any Australian out there. I'd love to read it, and I'd love to do a review of that particular book too. Thanks for joining.